Hey, what's going on, my nerds and collectors alike? We are back again, taking a look at the, as promised, next piece of the Spider-Man No Way Home SH Figuarts line. Today we are taking a look at the black and gold suit, and if you can see this sticker here, that means I actually have the Japan exclusive version of this figure, which also means we get to take a look at the Tamashii stage and the special effect portal here. So we will go ahead and get that out of the way and look at that in just a second. But bringing in the packaging a little bit closer here to look at some of our accessories. In our package, we do have our eyepieces, which I know that can be used on the integrated suit here, because he did not actually come with any eyepieces. We also get a new neck piece for that figure, as well as the Peter Parker head that we are able to use between the two. We get the Magic Gauntlet extra forearm piece here, but there is something about that I might get into. A little bit of customization with this guy. Taking a peek at this side of the packaging, you might be able to see there we have his magic web, as well as the magic holograph that we have, or hologram, sorry, that we have to replace his chest piece here. On this side, we do have some web lines in there, which is always cool to see. At the bottom of the packaging, you have Marvel Studios Spider-Man No Way Home with the official Tamashii sticker, the Tamashii branding. That way we know it's not a knockoff. On the top of the packaging here, we have Spider-Man black and gold suit. And this package is a nice dark gray with gold highlight to match the inside-out suit that we saw in the movie. We also have the SH Figuarts branding. On the bottom here, we have a nice little shot of Spider-Man doing some web swinging. We also have the Bandai Spirits sticker here. On the side of the package, we have another rendering, or another picture of the figure in a different pose. On this side of the package, we have another pose, this time with his gauntlet equipped. And we also have the black and gold spider symbol, so that's looking pretty cool. On the back here, we have all of those same package shots here that we've seen on the side and the front, as well as on the bottom here, you get to see that he comes with the interchangeable eyes. On the back, there's a picture of his spider detail. Get your warnings, legalese, barcodes, unreadables, all the fun stuff. Make sure you don't put any of these tiny pieces in your mouth because they will be gone forever. Getting him back there and looking at the Tamashii stage and the portal effect box here. Let's go ahead and zoom out just a little bit. So as you can see, it's all in Japanese because this was a Japanese exclusive. But at the bottom you still have Marvel Studios Spider-Man No Way Home, with your Tamashii Nations and Bandai, SH Figuarts on that side. But this is just a grade rendering of what it looks like. I think this is actually a black and gold stage as well, so that'll be pretty interesting to see. And then I know that this is actually just like a thin plastic, maybe even a vinyl piece that just stands there, but hey, it's a cool inclusion to have. I actually paid regular USD retail price for this at $85. Here we have an image of Spider-Man using the stage with the portal effect behind it, and then of course you have that same picture of the stage and the portal separated on there. Not much going on with the gray package here. This is just a bonus, so let's get that out of the way. Now you may be wondering, hey, where did you buy this figure? I got this guy off of eBay from Japan Auspic 12. He packed this thing fantastically. It came in an envelope inside of with a box inside of an envelope. Each individual package here, the figure itself and the bonus, were each wrapped 5 to 6 times with bubble wrap. And then they also came sealed in the same plastic wrapping that they ship from the factory in, so he was really making sure that this figure was well protected when it came from Japan. So if you are looking for a very nice seller on eBay, here we have Japan Auspic 12. He also has his Twitter handle there, so feel free to follow him, look him up. Definitely a recommended seller. Guy is very nice. Messaged me right as soon as the figure shipped to let me know what was going on with the situation over in Japan. Let me know that if there was any delay, just to let him know, and he'd do everything he could about it. Super friendly guy. Definitely a seller to get to. But for now, let's crack open Peter Parker and see what he's about. Alright, and here we have Spider-Man in his black and gold suit out of the packaging and with the little ring accessory included in the back here. Now again, this is for the Japanese exclusive version that comes with the ring. And just to bring that up a little bit closer, you can see it's actually just a thin piece of plastic with the ring effect put onto it. It is hollow in the middle. So that's very cool. You can have people coming through there doing whatever. You can have Doctor Strange casting it. And it's not going to weigh anything down. And as long as you get your shot right, you're not going to see these little feet in the back here. So that's a pretty cool include. But for now, I'm going to take this out of the frame. And before we get any farther, I will also show off the stand here. So moving Peter out of the way. We do have the Tsimashi stage. Now this is pretty cool. So this is actually in black and blue. And I remember the original solicitations for this figure also showed his orange web effects and his hologram on his chest. Also as blue. Sorry, I hit the camera there. So this is looking pretty cool nonetheless. It would have been cool to see if all of this detail was gold. But hey. Nice looking stand, and as you can see, you do have a couple of pop-outs for wherever you really want to place it. I just like to put mine up in the top. Stands nice and tight, and then you can also take this off, and there is an included stand piece that you can use to port right on there, and then you can have Spider-Man hanging around from his back peg. But do be careful because these are tiny parts. Do your best not to lose them. But getting the stand out of the way here and just putting that off to the side. This is what we came for, and this is looking pretty cool. So we've got Peter here shooting his magic web, and yes, the gauntlet is on the left arm as opposed to it being on the right arm. We will get to that. We will get to that. But for now, we have him posed up, looking pretty cool. The gold paint on here. Let's see if it'll focus. There we go. The gold paint on here is very nice. Let me try to brighten that up just a little bit for you here, guys. There we go. That's a little bit better. You can see a little more now, can't you? Very, very cool looking gold. You also have the details. Sorry, my hands are a little bit shaky here. Let's try to get that to focus for you. You can see a lot of cool etching detail on there if it would like to focus on it. We'll keep trying, I promise. I promise. There you go. Now you can see all the cool etching on there. This is a very, very tiny peg for the web, so do be careful. It does come out fairly easily, but you can see how tiny that is. So do your best not to bend that because it will stress and break very quickly. Make sure you slot it in right and only use downward pressure. Do not try to use your nail to bend it. Take the tip of your finger, downward pressure. Also, do note, the peg is a D shape. I hit the camera again, I'm so sorry. The peg is a D shape, so make sure you line it up correctly. Push firmly all the way down, but not too firm, and it will stay in there, and that does look really cool. You can also see along the webbing here that there is the spiderweb holographic design mixed in with Doctor Strange magic designs. So that's pretty cool looking. But we will get this out of the way just to make sure that doesn't break. And do, once again, be very careful with that web piece. It is a very cool accessory. And you don't want to break your cool stuff, now do you? Go ahead and straightening up the black and gold suit here. Making sure his hips are nice and tight because I was testing some limitations on posing. As you can see, I also have his holographic chest piece propped up. And you may notice a little gloss on the video. That is because I had to hit this figure with some shock oil in a couple places, just to make sure that you know, nothing gets too tight and breaks, because you don't want to break your expensive figures. But looking here, we have a very cool holographic spider emblem, and I hit my camera stand again. Once again, I am so sorry. Working with some new stuff here, trying out some new things. But you can see the holographic web with the spider etched inside of it, so that's pretty cool. Going ahead and to take this off, just simply not like that, because you don't want to pull the orange out of there. Let me get a pair of tweezers here, because this peg actually is fairly firm up in there. Get a pair of tweezers. There we go. And pull that right out. And bring in the tweezers back in so my fingers aren't in the way and you can see what's going on here. You can see that there's actually a lock shape. The little round part right there is the actual peg, and then the orange on the inside, that is how it is attached to the symbol, and then you can see a keyed in shape to make sure that locks in place. Now that we have the holographic piece out of the way, we do also have his replacement chest piece, which does have his spider emblem on it. And that is what his chest looks like without the cover piece. But with the cover piece, you just line that up and pop that in. And that's not going anywhere. That's in there nice and secure, all locked up. You can also see that I do have the alternate eye pieces in use here. I do have one default large eye, and then I have one squinted eye for that web pose that I had going on. But bringing it in close, if it'll focus, I really wish it would. Working with a new camera here, so we're trying to figure out how things work. It seems to not want to focus right in the middle. We'll get it right there. We go. You can see really, really nice sculpted detail all the way around here. And you do have your golden webs picked out. You've even got nice detail here on the arms, along the shoulders. And of course, all of this is textured. This is all raised sculpt. That goes all along his mask. Very, very cool looking. Here you have his golden spider emblem, and right there's the little plug that you would replace for the Tamashii stand. I do have a little bit of silica oil dropping down right there, so let's go ahead and pause that and get that cleaned up for you. There we go, all cleaned up. Now you can see that nice running detail along there with all the circuitry around it. Looking really cool. Got your sculpted detail on the back here, and then you've also got it on the back of the legs. And then down on the calves here, you start getting a little bit more flat areas, but then at the bottom, you get back to some circuit detail. And as we all know, this is his upgraded suit inside out. So that's why you see all the extra circuits and everything, because somebody threw green paint on his suit and he couldn't clean it in time, so he just reversed his suit and went out into the night to hunt ghosts. Spooky, spooky. There's just a lot of nice detail all over this figure, and we're going to take our time to appreciate it, because some things, just sometimes you got to slow down, appreciate the fine things, appreciate all the little details that somebody's put into something like this, and then realize they were able to do this and then mass produce this. Technology has gone crazy when it comes to making toys, guys, I swear. Back when I was a kid, we just had the 5 POA stuff. That was about it. Toy Biz started their Marvel Legends line in the early 2000s. Super Articulation started picking up. And now we've come all the way to face printing and individual sculpts for things in sculpted detail such as this. You've got swappable eyes and swappable hands, and you've got web effects and a bunch of crazy stuff. And it's just awesome to see how far technology, even for toys, has come across the years, you know? But let's go on and get to articulation, so I'm not sitting here and boring you while admiring this action figure. This is almost exactly the same mold, not the exact same sculpt, but the exact same frame here as the integrated suit. So articulation is going to be very, very much the same. His head is on a double dumbbell joint and can look all the way up. Peter can also bury his chin, not quite all the way, but he does look down just fine. Of course, he gets swivel. And what would these joints be without some glorious tilt? So head articulation is nothing to be worried about. His shoulders are on a ball joint inside of a cup with another ball joint. So at the shoulder itself, you can rotate, let's get him out of the way here, sorry. You can rotate 360 degrees. If you bring that ball joint down, articulate the shoulder up, and then articulate back up, you will get past 90. And then, of course, inside there, you also have, I hit the phone holder again. Let's get that nice and stable. I need to find a way to adjust that slightly. But we will work with what we have for now. But inside of there, that shoulder cup moves up and then comes back down. And then that will also act as your butterfly. And then you do have your hidden bicep swivel. So that rotates up in there. And then, of course, you have your bicep cut that Bandai has so generously started giving us with figures. Fantastic addition. And, of course, that rotates all the way around. With the gauntlet arm, you can bend up almost all the way. But let's check without the gauntlet here. You get roughly the same, so the gauntlet does not hinder articulation at all. Without the gauntlet, you will get more, but with the gauntlet on at the wrist, you do have some hindrance there, but of course that is on the Figuarts wrist joint, so that is a hinge swivel ball. We will demonstrate on this hand here, so hinge, swivel, and then because that is on a little ball joint, let's go ahead and pop that hand off. It's not really tight, I'm just trying to be gentle. There we go. His hands are a fairly soft plastic, not tight at all. I'm just trying to be careful with my toys here. But as you can see, little ball joint right at the end, and then pop that back on without a problem. And now that hinges vertically. Swing it back around, and you've got your horizontal movement there for your wrist. Always cool. Into torso articulation. At the top of his torso here, you do get your rotation, as well as a small ball joint hinge inside of there. So you'll get crunch back that far, crunch forward that far. And then, of course, at the bottom, you do have your forward-facing ball joint. But first, with the two combined, that is how far back Spider-Man will crunch. Keep hitting the camera. I know, this is probably a trip to watch. He will crunch forward that far, and yeah, there's some more shock oil dripping down there, so let me go ahead and get that cleaned up for you. Alright, so there's your crunch, and something very nice is the bottom of this torso piece here. This seems to be a soft overlay over a harder piece of plastic, so at the bottom it does give a little bit of give, which gets you nice and deep crunch. So you can crunch forward that far, and yes, of course, there is gap, but from the front, that looks fantastic. There you go. And at least they are trying to give you a little bit of cover, so if you're looking at it at the back, it looks a little bit gappy, but a little less at the same time because you are covered. His legs kick forward 90 degrees, and of course he does have the butt flaps that move around to cover any gaps, and as you can see, if you spread it a little too far, it does try to wiggle itself off at the joint there, so just push that back on. We do get outward kick that far. You have a thigh rotation. Mine's a little squeaky. Double jointed knees that kick up that far. And these knee covers are always super nice because they just extend and look very natural as opposed to being broken up and having a knee cap. Ankle articulation. His ankles can go back that far. They can come forward that far. The joint connecting the ankle joint to the leg is on a swivel. And then you have your ankle pivot, as well as a toe joint. So very, very nice articulation as we expect from these Spider-Man figures. Let's go ahead and talk about some accessories. First off, this gauntlet. So you simply want to pull the hand off, and then I like to grip right on the actual joint and just gently tug that right off there. Now this is a separate piece at the moment, and then you do have his regular forearm right here, and as you can see, that's just on a, if you can see it there, that's just basically on a mushroom peg and a soft plug that wiggles on just fine, and you'll take your hand and pop it right back on, not a problem. Now, thing is, like the gauntlets on our integrated suit, this gauntlet is underneath that peg there, and this arm is actually smaller. Let's see if I can wiggle it out here for you, because we're going to do a little bit of customization to this. You know what? I will come back when I get it off. And it's off! So here's your gauntlet without the forearm inside of it. And if it'll focus, so you can see that there is a block right there. I know a lot of people have been taking an X-Acto knife and scraping that out, so that way it will fit on the regular forearms, because what's going on here is they taper the arm, and the arm itself is actually shorter because this peg, let me get my tweezers here so that way I can show it a little more effectively. So this peg has to go through that. You can see it stick out right there, so it's got to go through that hole and then into this arm and retain articulation. So in order to do that and keep the gauntlet from falling off, they ended up making a little stopper. So what I've seen a lot of people do, like I said, take an X-Acto knife and then they just open that up a little bit, and that allows the entire arm to slip through, because if you look here, it will still cover all the way, and then you can have your peg and hand on there. So at the end of this, I will try to do that. For now, this arm and its peg are going to be set to the side, and this gauntlet will also be set to the side. You do have interchangeable eye lenses here, and to do that, you simply pull the head off of its slide, and then if you can see, there are little tiny pegs in here, and you do get a tool to pry them. So I just like to set it right there on the shelf, kind of use leverage, pop that out. Now these are small and they are D-shaped pegs, but luckily we do get an individual tray for these pieces, and so you simply pull this off here, trying not to spill them everywhere. Set that inside, take his eye, Get that set inside there. Cover that back up. And you have those eyes stored. And you can take his open eye, line that up, and just slot that right in there. And now he's got his open eyes. And you just slide that back on, and now he's got his different lenses. So that's pretty cool. Adjust the camera just a little bit again. I know, sloppy review, but here we are. We're doing this raw. Might as well, right? Sometimes you just gotta do it. So there you go. He also comes with a long web line for swinging. Now he does come with more web lines than the integrated suit did, just because basically they're trying to sell these as a set as opposed to individual figures. So if you get both, you get extras and then pieces for both. He also has 2 of these short thwipping webs. He includes 2 longer thwipping webs. Of course, as you see here, he has a set of fists. And he also has a set of wall crawling hands. Now, something interesting about these, for anybody curious, because these hands are the exact same size as the hands that we get with integrated suit, but they are individually sculpted. So here is the integrated suit. You can see different web lines sculpted in there, different texture. You still have the web trigger. But if you see here, you do have differently sculpted lines. Let me go ahead and try to get him into the light a little bit more. There we go. You have differently sculpted lines with a different pattern. You still do get the web shooter trigger, but that's cool to see that they didn't cheap out and give us the same exact hands, even though we are actually getting the same expressions with the hands, we'll say. So as opposed to his fists and his wall crawling hands, you also get a set of web swinging hands. And of course, what would a Spider-Man be without some thwipping hands? And these are all painted very nice. Black looks nice and clean on here. But, something I want to bring up. These hands do look tiny. So, if you own the Medicom Mafex Far From Home Spider-Man, and being as this is the same suit as that Spider-Man, just inverted, here's the hands from the Mafex. Now you might be wondering, so the Mafex hands are just a single peg and slide, and the SH Figuarts hands have ball joints at the end of them. Plus, wouldn't they be smaller joints? Well, these actually fit on here perfectly, and they fill out the arm a little bit better, and they have good size. And it's almost a complete paint match. So, obviously this wasn't on purpose because they are different brands, but if you have the Medicom Mafex Spider-Man hands, let me go ahead and remove his wall crawling hand here, and I will put on the other fist just because. They even still articulate, and you can adjust that and push them on there. So there he is with the Medicom Mafex fists, and as you can see, that fills out the arm a lot better. Surprisingly, that looks really, really good. So, if you have that figure, you've got some extras, and because it's Mafex, he comes with a plethora of hands, so you can use the peace signs and his thwipping hands, and he's got relaxed hands that can also open or hold the phone, And he's got, you know, his wall crawling hands and magnet hands. So there's a lot of different things that you can try with these Metacom hands. The only thing that I might still use the hands for from this figure are the web swinging hands here, just because Mafex for some reason has started sealing the fingers of these hands, as opposed to SH Figuarts here, who keeps theirs open and allows adjustment in the plastic to hold the web lines, and that looks really, really nice. So while Peter's swinging around, he might have some smaller hands on, but hey, options. And options are always, always appreciated. And speaking of options, last accessory on our list here, he comes with an unmasked Peter Parker head. Now, not only does he come with the unmasked Peter Parker head for this body, because he's got the black and gold suit neck with the unmasked portion here to show the flesh tone, we also get an upgrade for the integrated suit. So we get a neck piece for that. Now first, I also want to mention that, yes, the integrated suit did not come with eye lenses, so let's make sure that these eye lenses fit. They should, because this is the exact same head style. Obviously, it's not quite the same sculpt, because there is the sculpting of the circuitry and everything on this figure that I just knocked over. Excellent at this, aren't I? Let's go ahead and clean up the eyes here a little bit, because I did accidentally knock them out of the tray. I'm kind of a mess today, but hey, sometimes you can be less than perfect. Let's go ahead and set him to the side here. We will take off Spider-Man's mask, and just like the black and gold suit, you can see the pegs in there. Take our tool, and we will pop the eye, pull that out. Now these are round, so maybe they will not fit, but you never know until you try. Taking the extra eye here, slotting that on in there, and what do you know? It fits. It's not an exact perfect seat, so we will try something else here. So that is the slightly closed left eye. Let's go ahead and pop that one out. That is my air freshener going off, if you can hear it in the video. Let's pop that one out of here. Use our tweezers to get the other one. And here we have the full squinted eye. And there you go. So yes, these lenses will fit. So that's pretty cool. You get your options for that. They fit in there without a problem. Obviously, because these are tiny, they are a little hard to get out and swap out. So just take your time, have some patience, try your best not to lose these, because as I said, tiny pieces. Tiny, tiny pieces. Still trying to get these lenses back together, guys. I'm sorry. There we go. Definitely going to keep that bubble. That's going to be very handy. We will take our Spider-Man head here. Put his eye lens back on there so that way he can see. But we're not going to put this back on his neck. What we're going to do, I'm going to pop that piece off. And we will pop this piece on. So that's looking pretty good. Reds are a very close match. Not exactly the same, but very close. And we'll set him aside for the moment, because we also want to see what it looks like on the figure it came with. So, just grab your neck. Of course, separate that. For now, slap that on. And that's looking pretty cool. Now, I believe this is actually the exact same sculpt that came with the Endgame Iron Spider. Do not quote me on that because I actually do not have that figure at the moment. I am trying to track one down for a decent price. Let me be very clear on that. For a decent price. If I find one, of course, you guys will get a review. But for the time being, the reviews I've seen of this guy and just kind of looking around at images and comparing images, it does appear to be the exact same head sculpt, but with some different paint. And I actually believe that the flesh tone does look better on this guy. But just to pique curiosity here, here's the Mafex Peter Parker head. Now this is from the Homecoming re-release version. So this is the version that came with the instant kill eyes, and then we got the repaint of the Peter Parker head with a better flesh tone. So I think, neither of them exactly look like Tom Holland here, but under light, I think that the Homecoming head might look a little bit better, although that still looks pretty good, at least for this style. Like I said, that's obviously not dead-on Tom Holland. None of these really are. We still have yet to get a spot-on Tom Holland head besides the Maniple head that we get from our third-party seller, So if I get the extra funds to pick up one of those head sculpts, I will be sure to share it on here. Here we have the Marvel Legend attempt at hitting Tom Holland. Now, from certain angles, it looks really, really nice, and then from certain angles, it doesn't look like him at all. So I think Tom Holland has one of those faces, kind of like Mark Hamill and Sebastian Stan, where it's just really hard to nail his face shape. I don't know. I've never tried, so I'm not going to pretend to say or know how to do better. But it would be cool to see a company finally nail that. For now, this is still an awesome include. And we're going to go ahead and pop this head off of the neck here, which was a little bit tight. And as you can see, that just has its slot in there because there's no swappable eyes. Let's go ahead and swap that over. So that's what it looks like on our integrated suit. And honestly, that's looking pretty good. Peter actually has his mask off in this suit for quite some time. So that's looking pretty nice. I like it. Again, not dead on Tom Holland, but it's still a cool piece to be able to have in the display. And I will never complain about options. Going ahead and swapping back to the regular head sculpt here, let's finally get into some comparisons. Let's get our SH Figuarts black and gold suit stood up tall. And we will go ahead and remove the flesh tone sculpt from our integrated suit here. And we will get him remasked. So there he is, standing actually, oddly enough, slightly taller than our black and gold suit. And since we've stolen his hands for this video, for these figures, here's the Medicom Mafex Far From Home upgraded suit. He is standing about the same height here as the integrated suit. Let's raise this up just a little bit so you can see more of a dead-on scale here. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and adjust my camera without you guys having to watch. There we go, saved you some hassle of having to watch me fiddle with the new setup some more. As you can see, Far From Home upgraded suit Spider-Man is still about as tall as our integrated suit Spider-Man, but I do want to say the only reason that is of course because of the torso peg that I modded into mine, so he does have a little bit of extra height and also try to unlock a little bit of articulation on there. Of course, we will see our friend again when the SH Figuarts upgraded suit arrives. Sadly, as of right now, that figure has not arrived. I think it is stuck in the cycle of USPS's funny business where they like to take forever on sending out your items. But for now, here are those two together. Pulling integrated suit out of here, I also want to see him next to another Mafex figure. Here we have the Mafex Spider-Man Homecoming Spider-Man. And he is again about the same height due to that peg. Homecoming and Far From Home Spider-Man are the same height. So, that is a fair general comparison here. But getting these two out of the way, here he is with the Marvel Legends No Way Home Doctor Strange, who is a good bit taller than him, even though it's kind of funny that the other import figures all are fudgeable into a Marvel Legends display, but once you have these guys posed up, it should be just fine. But for now, standing next to the Marvel Legends, he does look a little bit scrawny and kind of short, but he's also still pretty young. He's got time to fill it out. We will see how that works. Obviously, integrated suit fits in. So, I mean, of course, black and gold suit will fit in as well. Can be fudged. Very cool. Let's get Doctor Strange out of here. Here we have him next to the Mark 85 Iron Man, just because, you know, want to see him next to his old mentor. And then we also have him next to the Marvel Legends integrated suit and the Marvel Legends Iron Spider. And of course, he's barely shorter than the Marvel Legends, so that's how we know he fits in. He just looks a little more scrawny, but in person he still looks pretty good and can be fudged into a Marvel Legends display. Here we have him squeezed in here next to a couple of New Age members and a couple members of the Red Team. And just to fill that a little bit further, let's go ahead and remove Captain America here and replace him with the Scarlet Witch. If Wanda would like to stand for me, there we go. So there we have him as a part of Red Team. Here we have him next to, in my opinion, the two biggest villains to this particular Spider-Man in No Way Home. J. Jonah Jameson, the one who published the video that Mysterio leaked out and basically ruined Peter Parker's life, causing him to use the spell. And then, of course, Green Goblin, who flipped his whole life upside down, killed Aunt May, and was the entire reason this whole ordeal kicked off. But, of course, that is a comic Green Goblin. This is, however, the movie J. Jonah, so that's good. Hoping to see a No Way Home Wave 2 from Marvel Legends. If that comes out, of course, we will see a rematch between these two figures. But for now, there they are. Here he is next to the two villains, the two major villains that we actually see him use or fight against in this suit. Now, to be fair, when Sandman here does make his appearance, he's actually on Team Spider-Man because he's confused and doesn't know what's going on. So he's, of course, helping Spider-Man since the last Spider-Man he met was a friend to him. But we also have Electro, who was very power-hungry after he felt the new energy and was having a hell of a time in the MCU. Hopefully they'll bring Jamie Foxx back as Electro again, because I'm so happy that he got his second turn round. He was fantastic in the movie, and definitely could be a pretty cool villain with his new amped-up energy. But I do like how his arc ended, calming himself down, all that fun stuff. But here we have some of the ghosts that he was sent out to hunt in this suit. Here we have Peter next to a couple of his comic counterparts, as well as an extra spider person being Gwen Stacy, the Ghost Spider. And last but not least, here we have him with the web-swinging frontrunner of Team Black and Red, Miles Morales from Into the Spider-Verse, and from the PS4 game, which I have lovingly dubbed the MCU Spider-Man, because that figure is full of detail and looks amazing. But there we have our young Peter next to those two, rocking the black and red color scheme with them, even though Peter has gold on his. And, funnily enough, the red is not supposed to be on his forearms, it's supposed to be gold tech detail. But concept art strikes again, figure still looks awesome. Let's go ahead and get these guys out of here, and we will wrap it up with some final thoughts. So, final thoughts are, this figure comes packed full of accessories, some really cool stuff. You get the nice magic gauntlet with the magic web. We even get bonuses for a figure that we previously purchased, so you get upgrades for him with an unmasked head sculpt and the extra eye lenses. All in all, definitely an awesome figure. Definitely worth a pickup. And once more, if you are looking for figures like this, and you find yourself on eBay, look up Japan Auspic 12. Guy is fantastic, super friendly, Packs amazing, gives you quality content. Definitely worth searching and purchasing a couple of things from him. Ships real fast. Mine got here in little over a week just because it's an import. But hey, waiting never hurt anybody, especially when it's for something good. Be safe, everybody. Happy collecting. And this channel, and all of its content, is not for anybody under the ages of 13 years. I'll see you next time. And one more thing before I go here, just tagging it on at the end, because this is a little bit after the video ended. I did go ahead and customize that gauntlet there, so let me pull it up here. Here is that smaller forearm piece, as you can see, shorter. Went ahead and took the gauntlet off of that. I am using the Figuarts hand just to kind of demonstrate here, but you can pull that off, and you can, of course, use that with the Mafex hand as well. Works just fine. But all I did, and if you want to keep it on your left side, you can do that too. All I did was just on the inside here where that stopper was. It's not the prettiest job, but you just take an X-Acto knife and slowly chip away at it. And then it just slides right over the forearm. Pretty cool. You don't lose anything from it. You can still use your Mafex hand. Of course, here's the web, or his spell, technically. Port that on there. Still can use it, not a problem. Now it's just actually on the right side of his body. But yeah, just wanted to show that off right there at the end. Hope you guys enjoy. I know it's a long one, but hey,